Hey homies, what's good? It's the Dominator, and with the highly anticipated blockbuster Avengers Endgame finally now out in theaters, I figured what better time to talk about superheroes. But keep in mind, these aren't your typical Marvel or DC characters, no. We're talking about an assemblage of bodybuilding legends with kick-ass superhero-like nicknames. But whether it's comic books or bodybuilding, in both cases, you've got larger-than-life muscular icons with some pretty slick alter egos. Now, it should go without saying, but ranking a list like this is pretty much entirely subjective. These are just my opinions, guys, so try not to get too upset if you disagree. And remember, the order isn't really important here. Plus, believe it or not, there's way more than 25 famous bodybuilders with nicknames, so if your favorite one didn't make the cut, let us know in the comments below. But without further ado, let's jump into it. Coming in at number 25 is SHAWN FLEXATRON RHODEN. It's kinda cool sounding, I admit, FLEXATRON, but also kinda corny. Plus, it would be better suited to someone like King Kamali or Vince Taylor, who were known for busting out robot-like maneuvers on stage. To be honest, I have no idea why RHODEN was given this name in the first place, as his posing is pretty by the book, so it's kinda wasted potential if you ask me, and that's why FLEXATRON gets a nod here but doesn't make it any higher. Next up is the Juggernaut, Luke SANDOE. And truth be told, I like this name a lot, and if you watch the man train, you'll see that it fits him like a charm because this Brit is an absolute juggernaut in the gym. His strength is unbelievable, almost Coleman-esque, I kid you not. The only reason it ranks so low is because Sandoe's career has only just begun to take off, and I have to give precedence to guys who have actually proven themselves more. Like the Conqueror, William BONAC, checking in at number 23. I'm not sure when or why exactly BONAC was dubbed the Conqueror, but they've been announcing him as such for at least the last 2 years. There's nothing fancy or special about this one, but it definitely gets the job done and sounds pretty intimidating. Next we have the Blonde Myth, otherwise known as Lee Priest. Now look, this is a great nickname, no doubt, and I'm sure given Priest's popularity, many of you would have it in your top 10 easily. My issue, however, is that it's a little too derivative of other nicknames that came before, 2 of which you'll find later in this video, so due to lack of originality, I gotta dock some points. The Sardinian Strongman, also known as Franco COLUMBU, lands at 21. This one's definitely got a nice ring to it and suits the stout Italian very well, as Franco was known for his feats of strength and even competed as a powerlifter in addition to professional bodybuilding. I could understand a lot of people ranking this one much higher, but personally I'm not blown away by it, especially as it pertains to bodybuilding in particular. Clocking in at number 20, we have the Beast, ROELLY WINKLAAR. It's simple but effective, and aptly describes the heavily armed mass monster with the notoriously fearsome grimaces. I would honestly rank this higher if ROELLY was called it more often, but as of yet I don't think the nickname has stuck as well as many of these others. At 19, we have an old school throwback, the Blonde Bomber, Dave Draper. This is a sweet nickname, I'm not gonna lie. And if I had some more background info on it, it'd probably rank even higher. The blonde part is obvious enough, as Draper was known for his bleached blonde hair, that tanned and buff, beach-loving Californian image that helped define the golden era. But I'm not sure where exactly the bomber part comes from, so if you happen to know that, please fill me in the comments below. The Real Deal, Chris Cormier. This is just a boss nickname, alright? The Real Deal implies that this guy's not to be messed with. He's built to last and here to stay, which perfectly embodies what is arguably the least flawed bodybuilding physique in history. Be my guest, guys. When you go body part for body part, or even structurally, aesthetically speaking, it's difficult to find a weak point on Cormier. He truly was the real deal. At number 17 is a lesser-known nickname of a well-known bodybuilder, the Dominican Dominator. Of course, we're talking about Victor Martinez. I like this name because it's catchy and rolls off the tongue, plus it's assertive as hell. Victor is here to dominate you, and he's gonna be patriotic while he does it, damn it. So watch out, all you cocky Americans. Here's another one you may or may not have heard of, the Prodigy. This name was bestowed upon Brandon Curry years ago, back when he was just getting started, because of his obvious genetic gifts. Well, it took him a while to get going and finally live up to all that initial promise, and the title may not be as applicable anymore now that he's older and more seasoned, but it's still a sick nickname in my book. Alright, at number 15 we've got the King, Ronnie Coleman. And I know what you're thinking right now. Tom, why only 15th? I'll tell you why, because nobody was really calling him that until his career was over. Or at least not until he won his 7th SANDOE, donning a regal cape and crown during his 2005 posing routine. I feel like the best nicknames are the ones that guys earn early on and which still resonate throughout their pro career, not something that's tacked on after the fact. But still, it's a fitting moniker for arguably the greatest of all time. Up next, we've got one of my personal faves, the Black Panther, Serge Nubret. Before Wakanda Forever took the world by storm, we already had a human panther in the form of the French bodybuilder, Serge Nubret. Honestly, I can't think of a better nickname for the timelessly aesthetic and graceful golden era icon. Plus, it just sounds badass, and I guess Marvel must have thought so too. At 13, we've got the original giant killer, Danny Padilla. And what better nickname for a short bodybuilder? What could be more imposing and empowering than Giant Killer for a smaller framed fellow standing only 5'2"? But rest assured it was well deserved, as Padilla had the shape, proportions, and overall quality to defeat opponents who stood even a full foot taller. Coming in at number 12 is the Mass with Class, Lee Labrada. Rhyming nicknames are always fun, and Lee definitely brought the class, as his artistic posing routines were literally unsurpassed in my opinion. And while the mass he carried might not stand up so well by today's standards, he definitely filled out his frame without spilling over or compromising his lines. So I feel that he earned this title and represented the bodybuilding ideal to a T. Up next we have the Predator, aka Kai Greene. Though basic perhaps, the reason I like this name so much is because of Kai's greatness. Let's face it, any nickname can be enhanced if the bodybuilder it belongs to is one of the greatest. But the other reason I think it's appropriate is because of the colored contacts Kai sometimes wore and the outlandish costumes he donned during guest appearances, which, coupled with his unorthodox posing style, made him seem somewhat alien. That and the hair, maybe that's the connection there. Okay, and now we move on to the top 10. Keep in mind once again that these are my own personal picks, and this whole list is pretty arbitrary after all, so don't get your panties in a bunch. But rounding out the top 10 would be the X-Man, Tony Freeman. Now, not only is this cool because it recalls the most quintessential superhero group of all time, sorry Avengers and Fantastic Four, but it's got an actual meaning behind it. The reason why they called Tony the X-Man is because of his superb X-frame. That tiny waist bisecting those flaring lats and quads is what gives a bodybuilder that coveted X-frame, and Freeman had that in spades. The Oak, Arnold Schwarzenegger, stands tall at number 9. Also known as the Austrian Oak, this is just a brilliant name for a tall, sturdily built bodybuilder like Arnold. Oak wood is famously strong and durable, difficult to break or snap, and this applies to not only his body, but to his mind as well, as Arnold's mental fortitude was second to none. The Golden Eagle is the nickname given to Tom Platz. No doubt in reference to his hair, I can only surmise that the eagle part was thrown in reference to his otherworldly focus and concentration in the gym. Platz trained like a man possessed, with an intensity that wouldn't be rivaled till decades later, and even then, only arguably by a select few. At number 7 is another noble creature of nature, the Lion of Lebanon, Samir Banu. Not only is this title awesome because what better animal than the symbolic ruler of the animal kingdom, the lion, but also because it acknowledges Samir's homeland, so it's both majestic and patriotic. Plus it just sounds phonetically appealing, mirroring the fact that Samir's physique was likewise aesthetically appealing. And we can't forget about the Maryland Muscle Machine. Good old alliteration. A catchier bodybuilding nickname than this, my friends, you will not find. My only complaint is that it can come off as a little cheesy if you think about it, but then again, when you watch Kevin Levrone train or pose, you immediately put that out of your head. Unless, of course, we're talking about those old-school Flex magazine workouts with the striped leotards. Alright, but moving on to another underrated designation, and that is the Gift, Phil Heath. Yeah, I know, we've all heard the common mockery to this one by now, but I like the Gift because it's short and sweet and totally appropriate for arguably the most genetically gifted bodybuilder of all time. The only others you could possibly put above him in that category would be Ronnie or Sergio Sr., but in terms of muscle bellies and head-to-toe completeness, nobody else compares. Plus, he seemingly barely had to work for it, as his training is not all that intense compared to many, and it didn't take him long to rise to the very top of the sport. Landing at number 4 is the Shadow, Dorian Yates. There's something menacing, mysterious, even ominous about this one. The shadow. What does it even mean? I've seen people on internet forums speculating that it was due to the extreme width of his lats, which supposedly blocked out the sun, or even caused light itself to bend around him as his enormous back possessed its own gravitational pull. But the true origin of this nickname was because of Yates' reclusiveness, his tendency to retreat back to that dingy old temple gym in England and not emerge again until the following year, where he'd kick ass at yet another Olympia. In any case, I think we can all agree it's a badass nickname. At number 3 is the Sultan of Symmetry, Flex Wheeler. This is just a beautiful, elegant nickname. It perfectly encapsulates what Flex Wheeler best represents, which is premium aesthetics and supreme symmetry. There's really not much else to say here. The one thing I guess that would have pushed it over the top for me is if Flex was actually Arabian rather than American, such that the term Sultan would be more relevant, but oh well, beggars can't be choosers. The Blade, Dexter Jackson. What could be more iconic than this? I think everybody who knows anything about bodybuilding, at least from the past 20 years or so, could immediately identify who this nickname belongs to. The Blade and Dexter go hand in hand, they are synonymous. And it's one of the better suited monikers out there as well, as the Blade signifies Dexter's consistently razor-sharp cuts and conditioning. Finally, we arrive at number 1, and for me, this has got to be none other than the myth, Sergio Oliva. What a dope nickname, to be so good, so far ahead of your time, that people refer to you as the myth, as though they can't quite believe what their eyes are seeing. This has got to be the most flattering appellation ever received, and Sergio Oliva was absolutely worthy of it by being able to strike legendary, almost impossible to duplicate poses like this. The myth is simple but awe-inspiring, and I can't think of any other bodybuilder throughout history who could wear it better. So that's all for this one, guys. Hopefully you had fun. I know I sure did while making it. As always, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more, and of course, let us know in the comments below what your favorite bodybuilder nicknames are. Did I miss any good ones? Hopefully not too many. But anyway, thank you all for watching, and until next time, I'm the Tominator, signing off, and I'll be back.